The map of North America's forest regions highlights why the U.S. relies heavily on Canadian lumber and why Trump's claim that the U.S. doesn't need Canadian lumber doesn't hold up. The U.S. simply doesn't have enough of the right type of lumber. Most of Canada is covered by northern and western coniferous forests, which produce softwood lumber, the primary wood used for construction, framing, and housing materials. In contrast, the U.S. has significant areas of central, hardwood, and southeastern pine forests. While these provide lumber, they do not produce the same volume or quality of softwood needed for home building. The U.S. softwood lumber supply is limited. The largest softwood producing areas in the U.S. are the Pacific Northwest and the Southeast. However, the Pacific Northwest has been affected by logging restrictions, wildfires, and environmental protections, reducing domestic supply. Southeastern pine is used, but it grows faster and is not as suitable for framing as Canadian softwood. Canada's colder climate produces superior softwood for construction. Slow-growing trees in Canada develop tighter growth rings, making the wood stronger and more stable, perfect for framing and building. U.S.-grown lumber, especially from the Southeast, is often weaker and less stable because trees grow faster in warmer climates. Supply and demand prove that the U.S. can't meet its own needs. The U.S. consumes far more lumber than it produces, especially during housing booms. Even with domestic production, it still needs to import. Canada is the world's largest softwood lumber exporter and accounts for about 80% of U.S. lumber imports. Trump's argument against Canadian lumber is economically flawed. He has claimed that the U.S. doesn't need Canadian lumber, but this ignores supply shortages, cost efficiency, and trade realities. When tariffs were imposed on Canadian lumber, U.S. lumber prices skyrocketed, proving that the U.S. market depends on Canadian supply. If the U.S. had enough lumber, why did prices jump so high during housing booms? The answer is simple: because it doesn't. Forcing U.S. buyers to rely only on American lumber would make housing even more expensive, as domestic producers cannot meet demand alone. The U.S. cannot meet its own demand for construction lumber.
We don't need trees from Canada.
Trump's argument that the U.S. doesn't need Canadian lumber ignores basic supply and demand, the structural differences in North American forests, and the realities of the housing market. For more insights like this, follow the Latin Foodie.